Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's neoswing video we will see how you can use your hands and your arms to improve your neoswing dancing. So let's get straight into it.
Make their bodies move because we're gonna groove. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, okay, I showed you some fanciness because it's what I'm working on right now. But where do we start? Well, I think that one of the most difficult things about using your hands for the first time is that your brain gets split between your footwork and your handwork, and so you can't do anything, you completely freeze. So what can you do to concentrate both on your legs and on your arms? Well, unfortunately you can't, or at least I can't. So let me explain. Well, there are two main reasons why I've never talked about hand moves until now. The first reason is that I personally think in neoswing footwork is way more important than what you do with your hands. And the other reason is that, well, in order to learn your hand moves, you need to be able to do your footsteps without even thinking about it. And I mean literally without even thinking about it. Now this is a table tennis racket. I know it seems weird, but trust me, it is for an example. So let's say I want to keep bouncing this ball on the racket. Well, in order to do it, I have to concentrate on the ball and I have to concentrate on the racket. So let me show you. As you can see, I can perfectly do it. Now, let's say I want to do a fairly new neoswing move I learned, which is this kind of falling one, like shuffle falling from the back, I don't know how to call it. Let me show you this one. As you can see, I can also perfectly do it. So, since I'm doing this with my feet and this with my hand, there is no apparent reason why I shouldn't be able to do both at the same time, right? Well, let me show you. Okay, as you can tell, I can't. But let's make another experiment. Let's say that instead of doing this very complicated folding front and back, I want to just do a very plain and simple side shuffle. So this move that I've been doing for ages. Well, let me try to do this and this at the same time. So I'm bouncing this ball . You see that I can. It is not easy, but I can. So what's the difference? Well, the point is that I learned this move such a long time ago that now I don't have to think about it anymore. In fact, in the previous clip I was just concentrating on the ping pong ball. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that if you can do the footwork and you can do the hand movements, you can't just put them together. Well, it is probably just a matter of time. So you need to practice, practice and never give up. But let's see some hand moves, shall we? So what is the easiest thing that you can do with your hands? Well, I'd say that you could just remember some basic hand moves and repeat them in loop. For example, something like this. So you can do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, which looks already better than 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And then you can add some variations, for example, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Or you can do something completely different, for example, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. You can add some variation to this, so you can do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Or you can even mix them together. For example, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Then, if you want to do something a bit more challenging but still pretty doable, well, in neoswing you can't go wrong if you draw circles. Let me show you what I mean. Well, you can draw circles with your wrists or with your forearms, and there are many patterns, so you can go like this, like this, like this, like this. Now there are many schools, but I personally think that the circle looks better if you don't move your elbow very much. So you keep it nearly straight. But I saw some neo-swingers do also this, which is the opposite, which looks a bit more fancy. I don't know what's better. You can choose. Now, of course, there are many other moves that you can do. For example, something like this, or something like this, or something like this, which is more simple. Or I like to do something like this. But I don't think they are really worth an explanation, because you can simply look at them and copy them. The only difficult part is to put them together with your footwork. There are, however, some moves that can be very challenging to learn, and so I'd like to show you one of them in this video, which I call Sven Otten's vortex. So this is the move. And I decided to call it Sven Otten's vortex because I took it from Sven Otten and it looks like a vortex. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a tutorial to this move, so I'm going to do it one by myself because I think I figured out how this move is done. So let's see how you do it. Well, first of all, you should lean your back a tiny bit forward, because otherwise you don't have enough space to work with your hands. So you do something like this, so you have enough space. And you start with your hands in this position. And I suggest that this bone should touch this bone, so like this. And then you rotate both your hands of 180 degrees, and so you end up in this position, okay? Now the only problem is that if you do this, you can't rotate your wrists anymore, otherwise you're gonna break them. And so here you need to do something. And I noticed that when Sven Otten does this movement, he ends up with this hand that doesn't look like this, but it looks like that. But you can't actually see him doing this, because probably he turns this hand while the other hand covers it. So while doing this, you see that now you can't see this hand, and so he does something like this, and he ends up like this. Now, of course, it takes some time to do it smooth, but if you practice enough, you should be able to do something like this, so like that, and you end up with this hand in this position, like this. Well, if you can do it, you are almost done, because now you can turn your wrists, but in the opposite direction, and you end up in the same position as before, with this bone touching this bone. So you do that, and this. 1 and 2. Now, like a magic trick, if you do it quickly, nobody is gonna realize when you do this movement, so it's gonna look pretty cool. Let me show you. This is how it should look. And if you do it while side shuffling, it looks even better. So let me show you. Here you should see. And it should look even better. Well, I'd say that we are done for today. Of course, this last move we saw is way more difficult than the other ones, so don't expect to learn it in a couple hours, let's say, because it is not easy. And I just wanted to show it to you because I like it very much and I use it a lot. So I hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next episode.